Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today is the 20th of March, and today is our elite training. We're going to be recording this. We're going to be here with each other for the next couple of hours. If we're a smaller group, then we'll have to see. Maybe we go faster. If we're a larger group, then we'll maybe move a little bit more slowly. But my goal is to have 6 sections that I'm talking to you about. Most of you received the email. If you didn't get it, don't worry about it. Then if you are thinking, what is this all about? You're going to see the agenda in one of the slides. If you're in a noisier area, I'm going to ask you to mute yourself. You are walking around or whatever. A little bit of feedback. Check your thing. If you're not able to mute yourself, I'm able to mute all of you, but then you'll have to unmute if you want to talk. Thank you so much. So today we are doing elite training, which we've done live a couple of times and I think has been very successful. It's a way for us to connect with our teams, to connect with one another. I've been going through some business training personally over the last 6 months. And I think I've been learning a lot about what is a business leader and also how we can kind of help each other and support one another. I'm actually going to put, let me do it like, I also want to open up the chat. Can everybody see the chat? If you have a chat, if you need to ask a question or you have any, at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see something that says chat. You can just type, you can tap on that. And then if you've never been on before, you can, okay, so I'm going to mute everyone because we're getting a little bit of feedback. You can just type in the chat. You can ask me a question. You can ask me a question privately. You can raise your hand if you want to. This is going to be kind of free form, and whatever way works for us is going to be just fine. So let's start first. I want to share my screen with you because I do have some slides, and we have 2 other presenters. One of them is actually on already, Teresa Cafaro. Teresa, if you could just wave to us. And then we're going to have another presenter a little bit later. And I was intending to go in a certain order, but we may have to go a little bit out of order depending on who is who's on and who's not on. So let me share my screen with you. Okay. Oops. Okay, so as I mentioned before, today is the 20th of March. Actually, hold on for me one more second. I'm going to shrink this up. Oops. Here we go. This is what I want to shrink. There we go. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'm Elena Jordan, and by way of introduction, I'm putting my name on the to start this out because I think there's going to be a lot of people that are listening to this podcast and training and are not necessarily here live, hoping that we get a lot more people live later on. But right now we're starting with a small group. So I've been working with essential oils for just about 15 years now. Worked with many of you for the last 10 or so, 10 plus. Some of you I know on a very personal level. You've been friends of mine for many years. Others of you have met more recently, and I just want you to know that I'm very grateful that I get to work with all of you. And I'm going to be kind of stopping and starting the slides as we need it. There's also people joining, and I want to make sure everybody can hop on. Okay. Okay, I always say thank you to our Presidential Diamond team first. There's so many people that get on the line every single week that work really throughout the world tirelessly to make sure that we can put on presentations like this, that work so very hard making slide decks and talking to their groups and setting up meetings. And I just want to show them a debt of gratitude, the gratitude that I have, that we get to work together, that we're colleagues, but also that the support that they show for this entire team. Today, we're talking about elite training and navigating in a time of uncertainty. So elite training in that I want you to be able to go back to your teams and talk to them a little bit about what's their next step if they want to be using this either as a modality to help their family stay healthy, And secondly, if they'd like to be able to share this with colleagues and friends. What I'm hearing from some people now is that they wished they had started earlier. They wished that they had done this in the past. And so now I'm trying to do a little bit of catch up. I hope that you're also reaching out in integrity, and we're going to be able to talk to you about that in about a minute. Uncertainty, we all know what the uncertainty is, and in about a minute we're going to go to our agenda so you can see exactly what the topics are that we're going to be covering. Okay, the essential oil ideas that are going to be presented here are taken primarily from the book Essential Oils Healthcare for Today, A Beginner's Guide. Many of you know this book already, fondly known as the LRP book. We're going to talk a little bit about LRPs today, why they're so important, how they can work for you and your family now in this time of uncertainty. Also, how you can encourage others to perhaps set up an LRP and do that with, without bombarding people, without making them feel that you're coming on too strong. But just the concept of the LRP is a strong one. And I have to say, I've used it in many different situations, and I'll talk to you about a little bit about that later, and how it has helped me, especially in this crisis. And the second book that I use extensively is the Essential Life book. This is the 6th edition, the current one. I'm sure there'll be another one in about a year or so, but the newest edition actually has all of the brand names for doTERRA. And that's a very special thing, because we had seen for many years, about the last 5 to 6 years, is that everything was done with the secondary names. So Serenity was called the Restful Blend, and so on. So you really had to either know what the secondary name was, or you had to look it up, or you had to look in a catalog, and that was really confusing. I'm not exactly sure why all of a sudden we have the ability to publish books with brand names in them, but I'm extremely grateful, and this is the book that I use. Okay, so here's our agenda, and you can either keep this close to you, or you can take a screenshot of it now so you can refer to it. What my intention is that we go through each one of these sections about 20 minutes each. That's my goal. And you are going to hear a bit of a lecture. You are going to see some slides. Then maybe we'll ask some questions, and then you're going to do a quick activity. Now, the bigger the group gets, the longer the activity takes. If we're a smaller group, we're going to be able to do the activities fairly quickly. So sections in order: the lead in and 3 approaches to life, and I'm going to be presenting that. Reaching out with integrity, Karen Johnson is going to be doing that. And then section 3, leading in a time of uncertainty. Section 4 is going to be identifying your challenges and opportunities. Section 5, keeping to a schedule and setting up your progress plan. That's going to be presented by Teresa. And then finally, Section 6, top takeaways and next steps. And yes, I absolutely think that we can get through this in about 3 hours, maybe even sooner. I don't expect to speak double time, but I want you to make sure that these are the first sections that you see. So section number 1 is going to be my lead-in, which I've been yakking already for about 10 or 15 minutes, and 3 approaches to life and business, and that's what I'm going to go to now. So I'm going to show you the slide. 3 approaches to life and business are drifting, driven, or designed. Drifting, driven, or designed. And I cannot take credit for this. I do not take credit at all. Actually comes from a book called Living Forward, a proven plan to stop drifting and get the life you want, a step-by-step approach to one of life's greatest challenges. So I'm actually going to stop the share for a second. So I want to let a few more people in. I'm hearing people are texting me and saying, let me in, let me in. The other thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that all of you are able to follow along, because we're going to talk about these 3 approaches to life. So I'm going to ask you to take out a paper and pencil, if you will, or a phone, or you can type on your computer, whichever you prefer. And we're going to start talking about those 3 approaches to life. So drifting, driven, and designed. So right now we're in a state where honestly, it's very easy to drift. You can get up in the morning whenever you want. You can eat whenever you want. I'm assuming everyone is in quarantine. And And I just got someone in the chat. Joy Smith was saying that they need to make The Essential Life darker print. Joy, I would absolutely contact the publisher. I do not publish that book, but I think that's a great suggestion, and I would contact them. I think they're open to suggestion. They put out a new book every year, so I think that they would be open to that. So when we think about those three areas of life, it's really easy to drift right now. I know myself, I had the first couple of days, and I'm just gonna talk to you about what I've been doing, and then I wanna hear a lot from you all, because I wanna hear where you are and what you've been doing. I was traveling over the weekend. I got back on Sunday, and my daughter got back from university on Saturday. And so we've been in self-quarantine for 2 weeks. I live in Bergen County, which is a county right next to New York City. It also means that I'm very close to the epicenter of the greatest number of cases, and our governor of the state of New Jersey has issued an order that we really need to stay home at this point. Our county executive issued a more draconian order in the last couple of days, and it was rescinded actually last night. So just by way of saying that information is constantly shifting and changing. And I'm not sure exactly where you are. I'm looking at the faces. Several of you I know are from New Jersey. Some of you are from outside of New Jersey. You are going through a period where you may be thinking, what is going on? So I would say number one is it's very easy to drift in this particular instance. And what I'd like you to do is one of two things. Number one is to set up a schedule for yourself of some sort. And that could be the most basic rudimentary schedule. And I'm going to call that a daily ritual. And I'm going to start with a morning startup ritual. So your morning startup ritual could be something like this, something that follows. I get up, I meditate or pray, I take my vitamins and my essential oils, and then I exercise, or I drink a certain amount of water. But by having that daily ritual, you are going to see that you begin to feel a little bit more structure, a little bit more peace. Now, many of us have very elaborate morning rituals when we're not confined to our house. We may go out to a gym, we may go to church or mass in the morning, we may meet with friends for coffee, we may have elaborate things that we do every single solitary day, and now suddenly we can't. So I'm going to ask you, number one, to set up a daily ritual for yourself. And the daily ritual is going to consist of the following. First, your morning startup ritual. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and I want you to write down not just the top 3 things that you're doing in your current situation in your morning ritual, top 3 things that you're doing in your morning ritual, but how long does it take you to do that? So for example, if right now, usually what I would do is I would make 1 cup of coffee for myself, or I would buy it at my local Starbucks. So how long does it take? A minute. I probably call it in, zoop in, and then get the coffee. But now there are 5 of us at home. And so now I'm actually making a giant urn of coffee so we can all have coffee throughout the day. And that takes me about 20 minutes. So I'm going to ask you to take a minute, list the first top things, daily ritual, your morning ritual, first 3 things that you're doing right now, and they can be business or personal, it doesn't matter what they are, and how long does it take you? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that. Write it right now. And while I'm looking for that, I'm actually going to be finding some music for you, because we're going to be taking quick breaks like this throughout the day. And I want to make sure, oops. Okay, I'm going to play this music for a second. I want you to, so we're doing kind of a test. I want you to tell me if you can hear the music or not. So hold on one second. Whoops. And if you could just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. Great. Okay, perfect. Great. Okay, so I'm going to kind of shrink that on the sidelines, and if we need it for thinking, and I won't necessarily play that song, but I want you to, great. In case we need it as our thinking music, we're going to have to kind of put it on the side there. Okay, so I'm going to unmute you, or you can unmute yourselves. Give me an idea. What are 3 things that you're doing in the morning, and how long does it take you? Unmute yourselves. I want to hear from at least 3 people. Morning ritual. I'm going to call on people.
I'll go first.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, so I get up, I have my coffee, and kind of like, that's like a combination prayer devotion time.
Okay.
I would say that's about 25 minutes.
Okay.
And then there's like the bathroom routine, right?
The what routine?
The bathroom routine,
Oh,
like
okay.
wash the face, do the oils,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Have the breakfast, clean up the kitchen and laundry area. That's all every day, right? So that's about 35 minutes.
Okay. So how long are you thinking this whole routine takes you?
Just over an hour.
Just over an hour. Okay. All right. So Carol's saying that her routine, her morning startup ritual is taking her an hour. Even now that you're on, it's okay. That's
always
good.
How it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And that's how it always is, or that's how it is now that you're in quarantine?
That's how it always is, because I've been retired. It's just like what I do. So this
Okay.
whole thing has not changed that for me at all.
Okay. Okay. All right. I want to hear from somebody else. Maybe somebody who's here home with children, or whose routine has changed. Jennifer, I know your routine has changed, because I know you're a person who gets out of the house early in the morning. Yourself there, you're mute. Here.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not going out in the morning now because, well, we don't have mass. Usually I'm up, usually we're up at 5, and then we go to church from 6:30 to pray, and then we mass at 6:30. So that's not happening. But so we're getting a little more sleep because we're in bed until like 6. And then I honestly, I mean, if I do is I get dressed, but I don't know how long that takes me. I guess I should pay attention to that. And then I do my 30 minutes prayer, and then we watch the mass on TV, which is about 45 minutes, I think. So what is that? A little over an hour and a half to an hour and 3/4.
Okay, what about things like maybe supplements or coffee or water or anything else like happens right in the morning that takes you a chunk of time? You do every day.
That I do every day. I do have a thyroid med that I take every day. I mean, that's the first thing I do, I suppose. That takes a second, you know, and then the other things happen. I don't usually take my supplements till breakfast, which is after we do all those other things.
Okay, so your morning routine, you're saying, is how long, more or less?
Well, I mean, it's hard to call it. I guess you could say it's an hour and 3/4, but
Okay.
it includes all those other things that I would be doing outside the house.
That's okay, but you're doing them every single day, which is the key to the bowling
Yeah.
here. This is how we set up our daily routines, right? Okay,
Yeah.
I want to hear from one more person who can tell me a daily routine.
Hey, Lena, Carol Roller.
Yeah, tell me.
Hi, I get up at 5 each day and go to the bathroom, come in my bedroom, and use the Truman Boyd inflammation program, and then get dressed,
Okay.
come out, put a pot of water on my stove, and get ready for my devotionals, which usually takes about an hour. And then I take my dog out for a walk for about 40 minutes. And then I come in and I start my daily chores, and that's usually half the day, and then I'm ready to rest.
Okay, so aside from the daily chores, up through, say, the dog walking, how long does that take you?
About an hour to 2 hours.
Hour to 2 hours. Okay. So now I don't know
I'm
if anybody
sorry.
has. Yeah.
An hour and a half, really 2 hours, because if you break it down, it takes a while to put all those oils on before I
Yeah.
get started and get dressed. And then
Okay.
an hour of devotionals and then 40 minutes. So it's about almost 3 hours.
3
About
hours.
eight,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
All
start
right.
around 8
That's-
o'clock.
That's a great example. Okay. Anybody else have a much shorter routine? Much shorter. Anybody? So, all right. So I'm very good friends with a woman who has 5 children, including a brand new baby. She actually adopted her 5th child about, I want to say 2 to 3 weeks ago. So really an infant. And must be a very interesting time to be home with an infant. And her morning routine is about 15 minutes. 15 minutes. She gets up because she's got to tend to babies and so on and so forth. She gets up, and her eldest, I think, is 15. So she gets up, she drinks a glass of water, she takes her supplements, she listens to a 10-minute devotional, and by that time her children are up and she's got to get ready, and then everything else gets squeezed in during the day. So there's no right or wrong answer here. The point is that you have a daily routine, and I think I've mentioned to many of you, and I'm going to be referring to this throughout the day. I use the Full Focus Planner, and one of the things that they have in the beginning sections is a daily rituals page, right? So daily rituals. So my daily rituals before this whole thing started was I would get up and I would do a prayer, and then I would usually go out to pray again to a mass or say a rosary. Then I would take my vitamins, my oils, and my coffee, and then I would drink 24 hours of water and exercise. And that whole rigmarole took me about almost, not quite 2 hours, about an hour and a half. But the concept basically is, if we are designing our lives instead of allowing our lives to drift, we want to be able to put those kind of, I'm going to call them parentheses on our lives, and identify what are the same things that I do every day. And then the second thing I'm going to ask you to do is, what do I do at the end of my day to shut my day? So now I actually have 4 rituals that I do every day. One is my morning ritual, which we're all describing. Second one is my workday startup ritual, and that's the next one we're going to talk about. Workday startup ritual is important because it sets the tone for when you're going to work, where you're going to work, how you're going to work, who you're going to contact. Now, it can be very basic, and I have to tell you, I'll tell you what mine is first, and then you can think about it. I'm also going to give you another minute to think about what's my workday startup ritual. So mine is, I check all of my social media posts to make sure that everything that was supposed to be posted from the night before has gone up. So that means, for me, that would be Instagram, Facebook, and maybe even YouTube or any other channels that I'm working on. I would review my calendar for the day, double check my calendar that whatever I said or place that I was going to be or who I thought I was going to talk to, I actually remember, oh yeah, I have to talk to that person today. I list a big 3. So those are my 3 big tasks for the day. And then I would open my planner because I want to make sure that I'm ready to go. Maybe even fill in a couple of things there. And then finally, I would check in with anybody who's helping me for the day. So for me, it could be a virtual assistant. It could be Julia. I know Julia's going to be on the call in a little later. Some of you have talked to her or worked with her. But so that's my workday startup ritual. The other thing that I do that's maybe kind of mundane is I actually come down to my workspace. I work on a glass desk. So I put out table mats, placemats, because I want to protect my table, turn on the lights, put on music, put on diffuser. Those are all things that set me up so that I am cued to understand this is the next thing that I do. This is my workday startup ritual. Now, some of you may be thinking, I don't have a workday startup ritual. I just work whenever I want to, or I work whenever I can. So what I'm going to encourage you now to do is to think through, if you had your ideal day, not any old day, but an ideal work day, what would your startup workday ritual look like? And I want you to shout out a couple of things or text me in the chat. What are some of the things that you would include in that workday startup ritual? I'm going to open up the chat so we can see each other. Whoops. Yeah, there we go. The chat suddenly got giant sized. And then I'm going to give you a minute. Once you've given me a few ideas, because I want each of you to give each other ideas also. What are some of the things, tell me in the chat, that you would put in a daily startup ritual? Workday startup ritual. Should I put on music and give you a minute? Or are you typing in the chat? Right. Jennifer says, turn on the computer, check the agenda. Absolutely. Yep. Teresa says, much of the same that I mentioned, gather supplies to send out to new people. Okay, you're doing that every time you're starting. This is something you're going to do every time you start your ritual. Marianne Narduzzi says, check her calendar. Danielle says, check her calendar. Jacqueline says, aim to follow my guidelines for my routine. Okay. Karen says, check team to see who needs to hear from her. Yep. Jennifer says, check email. Yep. Check my back office. Great. So I'm going to give you, Heather says, check messages, back office, calendars, social media. Okay. So now I'm going to give you, 4 minutes, and I want you to write up three things that are going to be in your workday startup ritual and how long you think they take you. Now, I'm going to recommend to you that you don't put email in there, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So let's leave email out, but I want you to put what's your workday startup ritual. And I'm going to try to play our music if I can, because I think that's very soothing. I love our music. Okay, so that was our 3 minutes. I want to hear from a couple of you. What'd you write down in your workday startup ritual? So you're doing now workday startup ritual, and just unmute yourself and tell me. I want to hear from at least 3 of you.
Look at my back office.
Yes, who is that? Who's talking?
Joy.
Hi, Joy.
Am I
Okay.
showing, my picture showing? Because it's saying I need to do something.
Oh, okay. I don't see your picture at all. Let me see if I can. I think you have to start the video. Actually, your video is on. Maybe you
Yeah,
don't have enough.
I started it. I don't know what's
Okay.
wrong. I got a new
Okay.
phone, so maybe it's not too long ago. So maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it. Okay. Okay. So what are the 3 things in your startup ritual? Workday startup.
I usually check Facebook, and
Okay.
then I check my back office,
Mm-hmm.
and then I look at things, people that I've talked to that I need to call.
Okay. And how long do those 3 things take you?
Oh gosh, no more than an hour.
Okay.
Probably not even that long,
Probably not even an hour. Okay. So let's say an hour.
unless I have a lot of people to call.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anything you're doing with like a calendar or looking at a calendar or a planner or anything like that?
No, and I should be.
Okay. Just a suggestion. Might want to think about that. I think planners and calendars, many of you know I use a hybrid system. I use tons of stuff online, but I also use paper and pencil and I just love it. Okay. Let's hear from somebody else. Workday startup ritual. You should be able to just unmute yourself. Teresa, I haven't heard from you.
All right, well, I'm going to start up my computer and put oil in my diffuser.
Okay, good.
I want that right there.
Right.
And then look at my calendar for the day and checking messages on my back office.
Okay, great. Okay, how long does that take you?
I don't know, maybe 15 minutes, because starting up the computer and the oil in the diffuser doesn't take long.
Okay.
And checking my calendar if it's already set up like it's supposed to be. You know, I can get an overview in kind of a couple of minutes. And then, you know, checking my messages in my back office, I guess that would be the thing that would take the longest, because if there are people that that I need to get back to, I'll do that at that point.
Do you get a lot of messages in your back office?
Not necessarily in my back office, but like messages either on my other messages and my back office. So I'm checking my
Okay.
back office to find out, you know, real quick if there's anything new that has to be attended to. But then let's say that my son texted me from the Navy, you know, I want to get back to him. Or if any of my, you know, any friends or team members that have contacted me, I want to be able to respond to them, you know, in a timely manner so that I don't get off track.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go back. So how many minutes did you say? 15.
Yeah.
Okay. 15. Okay. One more person. And then we're going to talk about Workday startup and why it maybe we need to tweak it a little bit. One more person, please.
Hi, Elena.
Hi.
I typically will review my calendar, and I actually started setting alarms because it's my phone's dinging so much. I don't really pay attention to it, you know, or I don't hear it anymore. So I started actually setting alarms throughout the day for when I need to be moving to the next thing.
Okay.
We actually started doing that with the kids with school too. So it kind of helps to keep them a little bit on track as well. Then I always check my back office and my top 3, because even if I set up my top 3 the day before, sometimes things change.
Yeah.
I may need to make a doctor's appointment or something like that would kind of, you know, bump something else out of the way.
Okay. That's great. That's great. Okay. So let's talk about that startup ritual, that Workday startup ritual a little bit, and why we may want to tweak it somewhat. So when we talk about the Workday startup ritual, we want to have things that are going to move us forward on our workday. The reason I asked you to not check email or to drop email at that point is because what email tends to do is it tends to drive us in the direction of the person who has sent us the email. So if you see an email from, I don't know, your your child or your significant other or somebody, and you see a crisis right away, you tend to immediately shift your day from the priority that you might have had to this new priority that this other person has. Now, I'm not saying don't answer emails from your family and so on, but the idea is to start up your work day in a way that's effective for you, and then begin to address the problems that other people have. It's like that same concept of put on your oxygen mask first. It can be a challenging habit to break, but I'm going to suggest to you that maybe checking your emails twice a day, and that's what I do, is more effective than checking them either continuously throughout the day or even first thing in the morning. What I found is by checking them 2 times a day, I'm more effective in my communication. I can already know what's coming on the pike. Now, people may begin to think, especially in the beginning, my gosh, she used to be so responsive. She used to answer me right away. And now it's been an hour or 2 or even 3, and she hasn't answered me at all. And so I think that it's important that we maybe set expectations with people. I'm going to be answering to be more effective, I'm going to answer my emails on a schedule as opposed to just responding. And since many of you are in quarantine right now, this is a perfect opportunity to begin to practice that, because especially right now, it's very easy. Pick up the phone, look at all the messages, pick up the phone, scroll through it in social media, pick up the phone, look at the emails. We want to respond. We want to be there for people. But we also need to sit back and say, okay, what is it that I need to do? Or what do I need for my own mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health? And how am I best going to step out in leadership? Because remember, folks, this is still elite training. We're trying to teach you, to help you to get to that next level. How do we get to that next level? We have to be able to set up structures for ourselves. We need to train ourselves. We have to put ourselves in a situation where we are leading others. We're only leading others by setting an example. So if you can become less reactive, and I know it's difficult at first. I know that when I first started changing my schedule, I would literally pick up my phone and think, oh, no, not now, not 12 o'clock. Okay, oh, not now, I can't do it now. Or my other inclination was get up in the morning, pick up my phone, and start scrolling through all my emails that came from the night before. Now, many of you know that I work closely with Asia. Many of the emails and the requests that I get actually come in overnight. So it's very tempting for me to pick up that phone and look, okay, what happened last night? What was going on? And so you can maybe shift your time frame. You maybe don't want to do 12 and 4, which is what I do. You could do maybe 10 and 2 or 10 and 5, whatever's convenient for you. But making a schedule for yourself that excludes your email at least temporarily. The other thing that I'm going to ask you to do, and now I kind of break my own rule because I'm looking at my own posts, but I'm not looking at other people's posts first thing in the morning. So I'm looking if my own post has gone up. So because I'm leading a team and setting an example for all of you, I want to make sure that the things I'm posting on my social media feed are appropriate and that they are somehow motivating the team. I want to make sure that I'm not posting, I don't know, cat videos from YouTube, inappropriate. I want to make sure that I'm posting things that are going to help the team to grow, for people to feel guidance, that I'm stepping out in leadership for all of you. And I see your social media feeds, and I know that in general, you are all leading by example. But especially in this time, we want to make sure that the things that we're presenting to others really have that kind of sound, reasonable, double check, don't send before hitting, yes, I want to share, or whatever it is. I think that postponing checking your emails to a scheduled time can help you to really become more effective. And it's also going to help your family, because your family doesn't see you constantly all day long, texting, answering, going on, and you're on your phone all day long. I have found that, especially now during the COVID-19, that by limiting my exposure to social media and to the news and so on, I'm actually a lot calmer. And I'm eliminating or unfollowing people that are very hyper reactive, because it doesn't help me. It doesn't help me to kind of do what I need to do to lead within my own sphere. So we have a couple people, I don't know if you can see the chat, but Carol Skull has anyone else noticed less email and more texts? Yeah, I guess so. I still get a ton of emails, but I think you're right. I think there are fewer emails. And Jen says, I think postponing checking messages can also reduce stress. If I have a message I cannot do anything about immediately, does not keep me from thinking about it, which is also distracting. Yes, Jennifer, that is the smartest thing. So when we see a message, and I want to hear from all of you, that just either gets under your skin, you know you have to address it, but maybe you don't have time. How do we feel? Text me in the chat. How do you feel? You see this message and you think, ah. Marianne, you're laughing with your daughter, right? Nervous, yes. What else? What do we feel? I know I have some nervous Nellies on here. It's okay. Distracted, Judith, yes. Raises stress, yeah. First inclination is to fix it. Amen. What else? Stressed, yep. Mm-hmm. How about sometimes we feel sad, we feel depressed, we can feel angry, we can have a whole range of emotions just from this one. Marianne says, hide in my bedroom. Yes, I know what it feels like. And just from that one message, right? Now, if we answer the message when we're calm, cool, and collected, and we know that we have time to answer it, it can still trigger certain emotions, but we can do something about it. And we feel more in control. And that's what leadership is all about. That's why elite training is more than just get out and talk to people and share. It's about leading first. We need to lead ourselves first, and then we lead others, right? So I think that when we talk about rituals, we want to talk about eliminating stress, ratchet it down. We are not, and some of you may remember this. Remember the shell answer girl? Anybody remember the shell answer girl? Okay, so if you don't remember that, do you remember at Thanksgiving, they used to have the Butterball Thanksgiving turkey line? I think they may still have it. You have a question about your turkey and you either call in this number, or now I think you can do it online or text them. And what they used to say, it used to be called the Thanksgiving hotline. Okay, so that Thanksgiving hotline, but it was sponsored by Butterball Turkey. So if I was going to call that line, I would call about maybe the temperature of the oven, or how long to cook the turkey, or maybe whether to baste the turkey or not, or cover it with tinfoil or not. But people started calling in and saying, how long is the drive from Cleveland to North Dakota? And other people called in, yes, Jennifer, I know you're making that face. It's true. How do I make mashed potatoes? How do I see if my mother-in-law is going to be here on time? Do you know how to decorate our table? Do you have a source for delivering flowers to my mother-in-law? I mean, all sorts of questions, none of which had anything to do with turkeys. And so now they actually have a whole staff that they hire, and people call in with all kinds of crazy requests. But that's the idea of addressing the message. You may not get the message you expect. You may get the message that says that the turkey needs tinfoil, or you might get the message that says, how do I, drive from my mother's house to my mother's house in Nebraska? So messages are total unknown, and they can throw you into a panic, and they can even experienced leaders like Karen Johnson. I know you're a super experienced leader. You've been at this for a long, long time. Did you ever get a message and think, ah, Karen's so calm. Wait, can I hear you? Unmute yourself, Karen.
Yes.
Then I want to hear from Heather. Go ahead.
Yes, I do get those messages.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it is the nature of the work that I do. So it's not, I'm not always having the privilege of ignoring it.
No.
And so I just have to deal with it and have a perspective that allows me to step back.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is absolutely true. Thank you, Karen. Heather, what about you? Do you ever get messages that drive you around the bend? Are you on? Heather's video looks like it's stuck, but when she comes back on, I'll get her to talk to us.
It would be business and my kids.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah.
So it would be both things.
And look, if you have a big family, Heather is a homeschool mom and has a large family, you may need to check messages more than twice a day. I'm not saying that twice a day is sort of an edict from on high. You may have to check 4 times a day. What I'm advocating though is not to check every minute or every hour on the hour or every time you get a notification. That's what I'm trying to, you're going to train yourself to be productive in the sense that you get a message, you are able to address it, and then go on to the next thing. Okay, so that's it about messages. Okay, next part of our daily rituals, and I'm gonna play our music for us. We're gonna think about our daily work shutdown ritual. Okay, so how many of you have had the experience that you start your day and honestly, it just goes on forever and ever, and you never put down the phone, you never are off email, that your family's calling you and saying, Mom, would you get off the phone? How come you're still on? Mom, dinner's being served. Where are you? What's happening here? Or people are calling you from all different spheres all day and all night, right? Okay, what's your shutdown ritual at the end of the day? What's the thing that says to you, I'm done, and I'm gonna put a hard stop at X o'clock, whatever it is. So if that's not clear to you, just ask me quickly, ask me in the chat. If it is clear to you, I'm gonna ask you to write down what your three work shutdown rituals are, and then how long they take. Is everybody clear on what we're gonna do? Yes? Okay, I'm gonna play our music. I'm giving you 3 minutes. All right, talk to me about work shutdown rituals. Everybody liking the music, not liking the music? You can give me a thumbs down if you don't like it. Does it, Menza? Is it helping you to concentrate a little bit so you're not in total silence? Yeah? No? Okay. I can pick something else. It's called music for concentration and focus. So I'm trying, at least it has no words, right? Okay, so here we go. Carol says, I don't answer the phone after 7 p.m. while I watch Jeopardy, then get in bed, oil up and pray before I shut down my mind. Okay, so Carol, that's your end of day ritual. That's except for don't answer the phone. That's don't answer the phone after 7 p.m. That's your work day shutdown. That's your workday shutdown. The other things are your nighttime shutdown. We're going to get to that in a minute. It's not coming through clear. Oh, I see. Okay. Anybody else? Workday shutdown. So I'll tell you what my workday shutdown is. And I have mine written right here. I do a couple of things. Whoops. I should have it memorized, but I don't. I feel like whatever I had memorized since I've been on quarantine, I have absolutely completely forgotten. Okay. So at the end of the day for me, because I'm only checking emails twice a day, usually I'm checking at 12 and I'm checking again at 4 or 5. I'm checking for last emails, responding to any messages. I'm checking my weekly preview, which means what things did I say that I wanted to get done this week? And maybe I want to roll that over to my daily big 3 for the following day. So I'm writing that in my big 3, maybe one of my big 3 for the following day. I'm identifying my big 3 for tomorrow. Maybe it's a new thing. Maybe it's something that, you know, I hadn't had on a list somewhere, something that came up. Maybe it came up as a result of the messages. So I'm adding that into my big 3 for tomorrow. And then I'm leaving my planner in a prominent place. So that whole thing takes me about an hour, 20 minutes for the emails, 20 minutes to respond to messages, 10 for checking the weekly preview, 10 for identifying the big 3, and then leaving the planner open. That takes what, 20 seconds, but I leave it open, and I leave it open to the following day so that when I wake up in the morning, I'm there looking at the planner, right? And I'm ready to go. In a time like this, I have to say, I'm being totally transparent here. I've had several days where my big 3 were getting to a supermarket and trying to find chicken and canned tomatoes because we needed some food in the house after I came home from my trip, because nobody did any shopping while I was gone. Another day, it was trying to get on to a few online services to see if we could pick up some things that we were missing in our house that were looking a little scarce, and I knew we weren't going to be able to find them. And so I dedicated an hour or so to finding those things just to make sure that we had them in our house. So your daily big 3, or your workday shutdown ritual could look a little bit different. Your big 3 can definitely look different now than it has ever looked before. But I want to encourage you to have those sorts of that rolling routine. It can be very soothing, folks, especially in a time of uncertainty. So let me read on the side. Teresa says, check the calendar for tomorrow, put aside anything I will need for the next day, shut off the computer and light, and walk away. Amen, sister. Heather says, review email, review the calendar, and plan tomorrow. Clear your desk. Yeah, clear off the desk. That can be a great one. Desk and prep, class supplies, etc. for the next day. Also terrific. That way it's like, okay, I'm done. I'm closing chapter 1 and I'm going to chapter 2 tomorrow. Jen says, first I make a conscious decision to stop. May take a few minutes if I'm not disciplined. Okay, second, shut off the computer. Yes. Third, I organize the papers on my desk. Almost never happens. And altogether 15 minutes. Okay, great. Anybody else have anything unusual that they do at the end of their work day shutdown? Anything else unusual? I also set a hard stop for myself at 6 p.m. So 6 p.m., and are there times when I go over it? Yes, but at 6 p.m., I'm definitely done. Even when I work with Julia, we usually don't work till past 5, which gives me that last hour to clean up and so on. And you can see behind me, it's pretty neat, but I'm looking over to my left and it's a little bit messy. So that's something that I'm gonna have to get done today. Things have been kind of piling up a little bit as we work, and people, we're answering a lot of, as you can imagine, a lot of kind of requests and things. Okay. All right, Danielle, you're already jumping on to the nighttime ritual, washing face, getting in PJs, organize yoga, and meditate. That's your nighttime. That's not your work day shutdown. So you're having really 4 rituals, okay? So I'm gonna type them in the chat here. Can everybody see the chat? Yes, just nod or give me a thumbs up. Yep, okay. So first one is your morning ritual. Right? And that's all the stuff you do to get yourself out of bed, right? Brush your hair, brush your teeth, vitamins, praying, whatever it is. They're kind of getting you started. You're going to do those just because you're a human being and you're alive. And you're doing those, honestly, probably 7 days a week. Next one is your work day startup. And that's the one that says to you, okay, rise and shine, I'm ready to work. And if you're on an elite training, these are the things that you're going to have to be conscious of, because those are the ways that you're going to start and stop your work day. So if your work day, and look, your work day does not have to be 9 hours or 10 hours or 12 hours. Your work day might be 2 hours or 3 hours, and that's okay. It's going to take you longer to get to elite or to train someone to get to elite if they're only working 2 or 3 hours a day. But if their work day is 3 hours, then they should have a work day startup and a work day end. It should not just kind of be pervasive throughout the day. They're not going to get as much done. Our goal today is to help you. Most everybody on here is either elite or pursuing elite, but at the very least, you're trying to also train others to get to elite, because that's a very important rank to get to. Next one is your work day shutdown. I made that one giant word. And the next one is your evening ritual. And look, I know that you all have different types of evening rituals. I don't have to go, you don't have to go into them. I'm not going to have you identify them here. And I want to go on to our next segment, our next 2 segments. I think I've actually covered 2 things in one, which might be a good thing. I'm going to suggest to you, as your evening ritual, you do things that are calming. So reading a book, meditating, praying, I don't know, doing some sort of gentle exercising or stretching, massaging, putting on oils. Those are all calming rituals before bed. We're not watching the news. We're not reading crazy stuff. We are not, doing anything that's going to stimulate us. We're shutting down lights. We're shutting down all of our stuff. Without going into too much detail, can you tell me how long your nightly shutdown ritual takes you? And if you want to give me some details, you can. You can just put it in the chat. How long does your nighttime shutdown, or let's call it evening ritual, take you? 30 minutes. Okay, great. Jen says. Mine takes me also about 30 minutes. Carol says 40. Yep. Anybody else? One more. Okay, I need to work on one. Okay, Teresa says 30. Okay, yep. Okay, so I guess my last question is, since we've done the 4 rituals now, what's your takeaway from the rituals? Did you have one and you didn't realize it? Or you didn't have one and you realized, oh gosh, I gotta get one? Or you were 100% and whatever I said was like, oh yeah, I already done that. Okay, tell me in the chat. Okay. 1 hour, okay. What was the ritual that you maybe didn't realize that you had? Or what was the ritual that you realize now? Got to work on that one. Need to have a clear workday ritual. Yes, thank you, Carol. Yep. Limit times checking emails. Thank you, Judy. Yep. Carol says end of workday. Great, Carol. Carol's call again. Okay. Anybody else? Rituals? For me, the hardest one, I know this sounds crazy, is the evening ritual, that right before bed one, because I tend to want to keep going until I'm dropping, and I don't always settle down. That's the hardest one for me. Getting up, easy, because I'm a morning person. Workday startup, okay, boom, 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 I'm on it. End of day, I know I got to finish, and that was one that I had worked on for a long time, but sometimes that evening ritual, oh, I don't know what I want to do. I don't listen to crazy things that are going to upset me. But I keep thinking, oh, I have to take this out of the freezer for tomorrow. And, oh, I have to do this one more thing. And, oh, I have to wipe down the sink. Just not bad. Evening is most difficult for me. I go until I collapse. Yeah, I bet. And with a large family, I can absolutely imagine. Hard for me to settle down too. I keep going until I drop. Yep. Yeah, I know the feeling. So I'm going to encourage you to maybe pick even one thing that it begins to identify for you. This is my end of day. And I have to say, one of the things, and this will make you laugh, is I try to have 5 to 10 minutes with my husband where we talk about, like, I ask him, what was the best thing that happened to you today? So my husband is a very kind of low-key sort of a guy, not very talkative. And so I would say, the best thing that happened to me was I got on an elite retreat and I got to talk to these really great people and it was so much fun and all the ladies were there and there were like 12 of us on the call and I felt so great and we all saw each other's faces and we haven't seen each other for a while. And he would say, the trash was picked up on time. So just like the smallest, most mundane thing, but that would be the thing that made his day. And what's funny is because we're so obviously opposites attract, right? Because we're so different, we would actually wind up laughing hysterically. Just like the things that he would say and the things that I would say and the comparison just became hysterically funny for us. And actually that's a great thing because laughter is great medicine, right? So now we do this almost every night. And I think he's trying to get the smallest, most mundane thing he possibly can so he can make me laugh. But that's good, right? We want to keep laughing because honestly, folks, I'm looking for any laughter I can find right now because I think it's a good thing. Okay, Danielle says, oh, I already read Danielle's. Okay, so now let's go back to our agenda for half a second. I don't know if I have to show it to you. Whoops, because I'm going to actually ask Karen. So I talked about 3 approaches to life. And I also talked about, we talked a little bit about identifying your challenges and opportunities. We're going to talk about that now. So now Karen's going to talk to you about reaching out with integrity. Let me see if I can put, expand this. And everybody knows Karen Johnson. Karen, can I hear you?
You should be able to. I'm not muted.
Yeah, now I can hear you perfectly. Okay. Now am I playing your slides? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, you got them?
I think so, yes. Hold on. Whoops. They would have come from you or from Cassandra?
No, they would have come from Jill Mazinski.
From who?
Jill Mazinski.
Jill. Oh, okay. Okay, hold on. Okay, so Karen, while I'm finding your slides, maybe you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and what you're going to tell us about the topic. But at the very least, I will say, first of all, Karen is a friend of mine for many, many years. And through thick and thin, I've gone to Karen and said, oh my goodness, now what do I do? And she has always been the voice of reason. And for that alone, I'm so happy that you're here today, Karen. And I feel like this group will really benefit from everything that you have to say. So thank you for being with us and thank you for taking the time to do your presentation today.
So let me start off with a premise that what's going on right now in the world, people are thinking is something that's happening to us. When you come from a place of wisdom and knowledge, what you realize is actually something that's happening for us. So when you can look at this situation and say, okay, this is happening for us. Things are changing, and once this has passed, the COVID-19, they are not going to be as they were before. So allow yourself to be settled with that. And one of the things that we want to be really careful about is what's happening out there. People are using the situation to manipulate others to purchasing and to making decisions. And they might have gotten away with it at another time, but people are more and more becoming aware, and that awareness has made them realize that this is what's going on. So all those individuals, all those companies who are using this in the wrong way, in the negative way, to influence and manipulate people for their personal gain, are not going to come through the end of this ahead. They're actually going to be rejected because people are smart enough to say, This is what they're trying to do. I don't want anything to do with them. And I'm even seeing this with companies that I have personally worked with in my practice. And so I'm just checking them off my list. I won't deal with them anymore. They're not where they need to be in their consciousness right now. We have the opportunity to be there and to approach and do things in the right way and in the right consciousness. And that's the beauty. It's happening for us to give us the opportunity to step up into who we truly are and come from a place of service. So I have two things that I'm talking about, and they do overlap, and you'll see how one that is sort of segues into the other, and as I make points for one, it means the same thing for the other. And have you been able to find what you're looking for?
I did. They went to
Cool.
another email. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, oops.
Yeah.
So I'm starting with leading in a time of uncertainty.
Would,
I got two slide presentations, one that's called Leading in a Time of Uncertainty, and a second one that is called, oops.
yeah, she was supposed to change the title, but I think she switched. She was supposed to change the head page. She had them backwards, but I think she switched them. So look at that one, open that one, see what it says. Because I think she has the wrong title on the right, on the wrong slides. If that makes sense.
Okay.
And I think
Yeah.
instead of switching the title, she switched the whole group of slides. Does that make sense? I think
Yeah.
that's what she, hold on.
Yeah. And then one, are they the same? They are different, Karen. One has 5 slides and the other one has 7 slides, 8 slides.
Okay,
Do you
so
want
let's
me to start with one and then you'll go to the other?
start
okay.
with the 5, see what's there.
5 slides. Okay, great.
If I say no, I want to do the other one first, we're fine. Just switch.
Did you want the other one first?
I don't
don't
know.
Okay. All
Nope.
right. So let me share.
Yeah, I gave her a bunch of ideas and she put it together
How does that look?
halfway. That's better.
Wait. Yes?
Okay. Yeah,
Is that
good,
the slide that you wanted?
Let's see.
Okay. Can everyone see the slides? Karen, can you see the slides?
I do, yes.
Okay, great. And everybody can just give us a thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Yeah. Okay.
Good, go ahead. I gave my intro already, so move on.
Okay. There you go.
Man plans and God laughs is an old Yiddish adage. And basically, yeah, all of our lives have been disrupted. And the problem is we've all had to shift our focus and we've all had to adjust what we thought we were going after to take care of immediate things. And so yes, we planned and God laughed. Next one. So this is, you can call this a Karen quote. Always make sure that you're 100% committed to your intention and 0% married to your outcome.
Mm.
This is the place to be when you are reaching out with integrity. In other words, if you're being true to who you really are, then the intention is always to speak to the other person and look for what is best for them. When you come from that place and you're looking what is best for them, you're going to wind up with a response that will move forward in the direction of the best possible outcome for everyone. if you are married to the outcome because you want this person to enroll or place an order, then you may be disappointed and you may actually miss what could have been a better outcome because you were so intent on having your result. Okay, next one. Now, you cannot know the answer to an unasked question. You have to ask the question in order to know what answer there is for you from that person. And so this goes back to the idea that you want to be making sure that you're really listening to them. And I'm going to go through the 3 A's in a minute, 4 A's, and help you to figure out exactly how to make this happen. But don't be concerned about having them answer your question in a way that you believe is right. Ask the question and be really listening. You will be amazed at how quickly the person is telling you exactly what they need from you and how you can help them when they sense that you're actually listening to what they're saying. So ask the question. Don't be afraid to ask the question. When you're coming from integrity, ask them how you can help them. They will tell you. Okay, next. So what should I do? Your intention is to be of service. So here are some specific conversation starters and ideas that you can use. I always found that the most powerful one is to say to someone, and this came from Justin Harrison, I was thinking of you. I was thinking of you. And you can say this to one of your key leaders, or you can say it to somebody who hasn't ordered in 2 years. You could say it to somebody who you think is a prospect, but start with, I was thinking of you. Coming from a place of gratitude will always put you in the best light to receive the information in a way that will be most helpful to everyone. So I'm so grateful you were on my team. I'm so grateful to know you. I'm so grateful that you're taking a moment to speak with me today. Come from that place of total gratitude and express that gratitude to the other person. Okay, so this is really key. When you call people, especially we all have these people in our lives that you want to help them, and you call them, and the next thing you know, they're going into a big story. And they're distracting you and even themselves from what could be the key issue, because they have to go through their whole laundry list, I call it, of everything that's happening and all these things that are wrong and this and that. So you get them to focus by asking, what is the one thing that you're most concerned about right now? So now they're going to take a moment and focus, well, what is really the most important thing? And hopefully it will begin to get you in that direction of helping them to find the one thing. And when they start to go off, you can bring them back by saying, okay, we're focusing on the one thing that you're most concerned about. I am here to help. Make sure you make that very clear. I am here to help. I'm here for you. I'm here to be of service. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm here. You can use this on a brand new prospect that you call from your list and say, you know, I was thinking of you. I'm so grateful to have met you the other day in the store. What is one thing that you're most concerned about right now? I'm here to help. So this next question has to go back with the concept that if you are fully engaged in the idea of being of service and your passion is to empower people to use the essential oils for their own good, you will be amazed when you use this technique with people, because they realize that you're not just there trying to sell them something. Often I will help them to simply use what they already have to help a problem that they've identified. So there are products that they already have. Would you like some suggestions? Let me give you an example right now. So let's say somebody hasn't ordered in a really long time, maybe a whole year, and you happen to call them and you engage them in this process. And then they say, well, you know, I only have a few oils here and my back is really bothering me. Okay, so what do you have? Well, I've got this bottle of lavender sitting here. Great, use it for pain. Put it on your back. They had no idea lavender could be used for pain. But here you are being of service. You're answering their concern. And now they feel like they have been supported. They know that they're cared for, and they're going to respond to you. There is the Essential Life app, and that is available through Oil Life, and that is a great, great reference guide that will help you to put together ideas on how they can help themselves using the oils. When I've used this technique, again, I don't always have somebody who will order right away, but just having reached out to them and been of service will very often result in an order coming through later that month or even a month or two later, because I've engaged with them, because I've reached out with integrity and let them know that I care. Okay, next one.
Actually, that's the last slide here. Let me change the slide presentation. Hold on, let me go to the next
Okay.
one.
So, does anyone have any questions or comments? I think we should pause here and share a little bit about what your experience may have been if you've used any of this. How about we take a moment and go into chat and make a few comments, please? Love my approach. Yes, makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, you got kicked off. I think it's being recorded.
It's being recorded, but I got everybody, I just added everyone back in. I see Carol now.
Okay,
And
yes.
Traxine is on with us, yeah.
Yes, okay, yes, yes, Teresa, that's really key to leading with integrity. Thank you. I really like that you were asking people what they have to use for what they need now and are not asking them to purchase something at that moment. Yes. So I also asked you if anyone had used any of these ideas and what their results were. So if anyone has, please share with us.
I know that I've definitely used the first one, Karen, which says, I was thinking of you. You and I have talked about this many times.
Yeah.
And, but I really like the last one. I think that's important. I think I've used it in the past, but I think it's important always to remember it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Then maybe I gave you some ideas. I love that. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
So maybe not just take a moment. I think this would be really useful. If you would take a moment and write down the names of 3 people that you may have been avoiding connecting with because you weren't sure at this time that you could reach out with integrity. And now perhaps you found a way that you can. So why don't we do a little, 2 or 3 minute music and see if you can come up with 3 people.
Okay, let me see if I can share the music.
Elena, from Heather, she's out, please let her in.
Okay, hold on. I think, Heather, I think your connection may not be great. You may want to move to another spot so that you can stay on. I'm not sure why you're getting bumped off. Okay, Karen, do we want to go to the next set of slides?
No,
Or you want to
let's
talk
use
to
this
people?
list. Yeah, let's use this list for a minute. So looking at those 3 people that you have been hesitating to call, take just a moment and say, look at one of them and say, what's the issue? Why am I not calling this person? What's the hesitation? And I really would like 3 people to share. You don't have to say specifically about this person, but say, why am I hesitating? Tell us why you're hesitating to call this person and speak to them, please. And if you don't answer, I will call you out.
Can I jump in, Karen?
Yeah, who's
Hello?
this?
This is Jennifer.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
good.
So
Go
I
ahead.
have someone on my list. This is probably the person that I mean, there's probably many people in my downline that I should go through these suggestions with, but there's one person in particular who enrolled, I want to say at least 2 years ago, and I think honestly she just doesn't want to be bothered, or she's a very intelligent person, but when I talk to her about ordering for herself, she kind of avoids me. And yet, you know, a week and a half ago or so, she said, order me some On Guard, I need On Guard. And I thought, well, honey, you know, you're late to the party now. And so I really need to find a way to convince her. I mean, I'm sure she orders from Amazon and everything else, to just go back into your account, reactivate it, and order this stuff so that when there's a crisis, you're not coming to me and I'm going, honey, my stuff hasn't even come yet. I don't know what to do for you, you know? So I would love suggestions about, and so for me, this is kind of intimidating because she's got this like, I don't, you know, she wants me to
She's a
make it easy
type
for her.
A.
I'm sorry?
She's a type A. She's a type A.
Yeah, I think she is a type A.
And you're not. I
Well,
understand that.
I might be a type A, but I don't like to be authoritative, you know, like just do it, honey.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So start at the very, very beginning and realize that what you're doing is you're making assumptions.
Okay.
You're assuming that she doesn't want to be bothered. You're assuming she's ordering things from some other place. All she needs to know from you is that you really care. Start there.
Okay.
I was thinking of you.
Mm-hmm.
These are challenging times. I'm here for you. What is what is the most important thing that's really,
Mm-hmm.
and then listen. Just your approach, just the feeling that she'll get from you because of your integrity, and you have high integrity, and it comes from you. Own that and let that give you the courage that you need to use those words. That's all it'll take. You have exactly what you need right in front of you. You have all the information. You have the right heart. Your integrity is perfect. Yeah, just use what's right there. It's
Thank
like
you.
magic. That's it. Thank you so much for being open and sharing. That was beautiful. I think you helped a whole lot of people right now.
Thank
I
you.
think you did. Anybody else? That was a great example, Jen. I would like to get at least one more, please. Oh, come on, you guys are braver than that. Okay, so I think we're going to segue into the next one. Unless someone else has something to say right now, because I think I have more of an answer than you've gotten so far. All right. Elena, do you have the next one set up for me, please?
Mute myself. There we go. I have the slides ready. I'm just bringing them into position. Oops. I know we've had a couple of people that have gotten bumped out. I just want you to know that I am watching the screen so that we know if you get bumped out, that we'll get you back in again. Don't worry. Hold on. Here we go. I'm just trying to get it to a size that's decent, Karen.
Mhm.
Oops.
I'm so glad you're doing this because I can't.
I'm glad it's working out. That's all I can say.
Not something I'm inclined to learn either.
That's good.
Okay, Shelley sent me something. Hold on.
Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay.
Shelley's trying to get in. Shelley Frio.
Okay, hold on. I'll get her in. Oops. Just give me 20 seconds. I have to stop the share for a second, folks. I'm sorry.
It says, can we change the settings to not go to waiting room? It keeps booting us.
Yeah, hold on.
We'd love to join.
Yeah, I don't see Shelley. She's not, is she on the right number? I don't see her at all. She's not requesting right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So what's the number? 661. Somebody read it.
661-674-931.
674-931.
Correct.
66. Oh, I have 662. 661
674.
4931.
Yeah.
Okay. I sent it.
Okay, great. And as soon as I see her pop up, I will definitely admit her.
Okay.
Oops, wrong one. Okay, there we go. Can you see the screen, Karen?
We're good.
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay, so leading in a time of uncertainty. And I think that's interesting that you use the word uncertainty, because there really is a certainty about the fact that things are changing, that consciousness is changing, and that we are having this happen for us to give us an opportunity to step into the certainty of who we truly are. That's what we're supposed to be doing right now. So there is no uncertainty when you know who you are. Let's go to the next one, please. Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. And God, this was me in my 20s for sure, absolutely, right through my 40s. But today I'm wise, so I'm changing myself. Lovely. I love this quote. And this is how you move into where we are able to be now. When there is a crisis, when there is a major change in the world, and I can go back to stories I know from family to the early 1900s, over 100 years ago with this last big pandemic, but I don't think I need to go into that. But simply to say, when that occurs, there is a real opening of consciousness, and people are now able to step into more of their own being of who they are, which is a divine being. And I don't say this to be religious. It is a spiritual, scientific thing, that this is what the opportunity is that's open to us. And so that's why I said what I said. So stop thinking about changing anyone else. And Jennifer was so generous to share with us what she did. And you could see the emotion as she was doing that, because she's frustrated. She wants things to change. And really the only change that needs to ever occur is allowing herself to change within herself. You can't change anyone else, but I'm going to go through a process that will empower you to be able to deal with people in a way that will empower them to step into who they truly are. And that's what the leadership now is really about. Next slide. Embrace whatever happens with gratitude. And when you start from that place, it's because you have to let go of doubt and fear. One little technique that was given to me is to imagine that you have a flower in your hand, and we all love rose. If you have rose nearby, the rose oil, that's fine. And smell that so that you can use your imagination. And you have the rose, and now I want you to hold that in front of you, the flower, and whatever has come up that is causing you angst or anxious or anger or fear, whatever item comes up for you, put it into that rose and then watch the flower just go poof, and it's gone. It's out of you. Replace it now with love and gratitude. You have a hole because you got rid of something. You have to fill that void with love and gratitude. Next slide. So there's this little Karen quote. The first is an old one, but I added the second part because it's really important for all of us to understand. When you look at something differently, the thing you look at will change. But what I've discovered is when you look at a person differently, the person that you look at will transform. So it comes from you seeing them differently. It comes from Jennifer seeing this forceful personality differently. Start with yourself. Look at that person who's been difficult. It's the one who's the most difficult in your life. It's probably somebody who you're really close to, somebody you have to deal with every day, because your response to that person is really telling you what you need to look at within yourself. It's really telling you where you need to address why you're stuck. Those people are there for a lesson, not a punishment. Although we have moments when we're sure that it's some kind of a punishment. And we all have those people in our lives. And again, sometimes they're people that we love the most, but there they are. Allow yourself to look at them differently because we all have the same heart. when you're able to look at that person differently, you'll be amazed. They'll start to transform. I'll tell you one quick story that's not personal, about a client who grew up with and she's recently joined the team, and she's amazing. She grew up with a very abusive alcoholic father. And because of situation as an adult, she has a special needs daughter, and her husband had died, and he also alcoholic, abusive, basically killed himself. And so now she had to take a very damaged child, who's now a young woman, and go back to live with her dad. And so she began to work on herself out of desperation because the stress was horrific. She's a 24/7 caregiver for a very disabled person, and she has this father who, she grew up terrified with. And she began to look at him in a different way, and he did transform, and he stopped drinking, and he became the dad he was always capable of being, and has now become the staunch supporter that his daughter needs. But she had to look into herself and see, I've got to look at him differently, and to see that he is a very damaged person, and have compassion for him, and let him know that I love him anyway. This is heavy stuff. I'm sorry, but I always get assigned these things, I handle it gracefully, I guess. It's okay. So look at the person differently. Her father transformed. And now she has a chance to go back and begin to heal. And I can tell you the rest of the story about what's happening with this daughter, who was almost 30 and told that she would never be able to do anything. And now she's doing things that mother thought would never possible. But let's move on to the next one. We can talk about that another time. So this is the quote that I have on the wall. That was the very, very first thing that I hung on my wall when I opened my place. It is credited to Nelson Mandela, but I actually think a woman wrote it. And we're just going to go through this. And then after this, I promise we'll get into less heavy stuff, and it'll be lighter and more fun. So our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. So we ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Well, actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't be insecure around you. Hear that. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't be insecure around you. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And here's the really important point. I want you to meditate on this today, please. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. So as we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. That's the wisdom of the ages. Guys, the truth is always simple, and it's always right in front of you. And you've heard this before, and you've read this before, but understand, meditate on what it's really saying, and see how that speaks to you in your heart. You are so precious. You are so precious. Each of us is here to fulfill something that no one before us and no one after us will be able to do. We are part of the same cloth, and we are woven together. And if you don't find your purpose and fill it, there will be a hole that no one else can fill. No one else, only you. Sit with that for a moment, and then we're going to go to lighter things. Okay? Okay, next one. Aha, I call it the 4 A's. So now that I've kind of woke you up and shook you up a little bit, I hope, I'm going to give you a framework to work with to help you get through and shine in your abilities to be who you truly are and to be of service, to come into your own as a leader and be able to navigate whatever comes your way. Okay, are we ready for this now? The 4 A's. Okay, let's start. So the first thing you have to allow yourself to do is to be aware. You want to take in the information that's in front of you. You want to use your intuition. So let's see. I have the notes to add for this. When you use these principles, what you're doing is transferring the values to those around you and into your immediate environment. In awareness, you are always open and relaxed in every situation. You take in as much information as you can. In order to be aware, though, you have to allow yourself to let go of old habits, prejudices, a fixed expectation. That's where you're 0% married to the outcome of what you do. You have to take in as much, you have to put aside these secondhand beliefs that you have. Don't worry about conformity, and please stop being narrow-minded. This is so important. All of these things will block awareness. So attention is simply awareness that's a more specific focus. And it can really aid you. Your attention can aid you in any situation. You want to let the creative flow find a direction. So one of the things that I'm always guilty of, so I put that first, is don't multitask. Boy, I live as a multitasker. That's one of the things that keeps my attention. So attention can be weakened if you are distracted. It's certainly weakened when you put in yourself a place of worry or doubt. If you have a confused purpose, one of the things that people need to work on the most when they are in the leadership at integrity position is to be really clear with yourself on what your purpose is. Know why you're here, but also know your purpose with each person that you deal with. And I always say, try your best to be efficient with things, but not with people. Be effective with people. Learn to be effective with people. Don't worry about being efficient with people. Learn to be effective with people. So pay attention in a more conscious way. That's what attention is. So alignment. When you align, what you're looking for is the path of least effort. All of nature is arranged that way. You know, a blade of grass doesn't try to grow up through the rock. It grows around the rock. It goes the path of least resistance. So when you're responding in alignment, you're responding in a way that you believe will be the best outcome for everyone. So you know you're aligned when your intention is always to have a win-win situation. Win-win situation. That's when you know you're aligned. It is blocked if you're worried. It is blocked when you are struggling. It is blocked if you are opposing things or rejecting, or this is my thing, overthinking. You think you're aligned and you're not, you're overthinking. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to go over is allowing. So it's really natural for us to want to have an outcome as we start to work with people and ideas, and not interfering is really important. This is what allowing is about. You don't want to create undue stress by stirring up conflict or going in two directions at once. So the allowing goes back to our own natural intention of coming from our ego drive. This is what we want. This is how we want it. You know, we've earned it. We've deserved it. Our own ego drives we have to detach from if we're going to allow a higher consciousness to organize our life. So when you use these principles, you will always be letting the best path forward to unfold on its own. Become aware, take in the information, give it your attention, don't multitask. Align yourself, looking for a win-win situation, and then allow the natural unfolding to occur without stepping in and interfering and saying, this is what I want, this is the way I want it, and it will. I think one more slide. It's just a pretty sunset. Do we have any comments? It could be a sunrise, actually. You decide, sunrise or sunset. Oh, thank you, Danielle. Thought it was beautiful.
So Karen, I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of different, I loved what you said. And I also love the fact that each one of us says it in a different way.
Yeah.
So hearing from you is such a contrast to many other people that we hear online and from our groups and from our teams. And I always feel like you provide a lot of wisdom. So how do we develop those 4 A's when you meet with a personality or a character type that's much different from your own? What's your tip maybe for adapting? You see the other person and you think, how am I don't want to judge them, right? I want to come with them with integrity. But the personality is just so different from maybe something that I've experienced. Can you give us like maybe one more tip that when we approach someone, I think that's sometimes the hardest.
Yeah, it is. And it goes back to the beautiful sharing that Jennifer did. It's like, I don't know how to deal with this person, and I really want to.
Yeah.
So my tip would be to allow yourself to step back from the situation, become aware of yourself and your own feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And understand that it's coming from within you. Remember what I said before, these are opportunities that are put in front of you so that you can learn from that. And if you allow yourself to not be attached to the outcome of whatever happens, you're fine. It doesn't matter. And what will come out of you, especially if you take time each day to do prayer and or meditation, what will naturally come out, I said it in my presentation, what will naturally come out of your mouth, might even surprise you, but what will naturally come out is what should be said.
Okay.
Thank you for that question. It was a wonderful question.
So I just want to mention on a side note that I want to take about 20 seconds and just see, I'm doing something crazy and I don't know what that crazy thing is, but some people are being locked out. I'm looking at the participants. Doesn't look like anybody's asking to be admitted now, but if you, at some kind of a setting that I need to figure out, I don't know what the setting is. Let me see if I can see it up here as I talk to you. But if you know anybody who has gotten bumped off, who should be on, if you want to just send them a quick text message. We still have about another hour that we're going to be on here. I don't want anyone to think that they're being bumped out. We are recording this presentation, so anyone who can't get on, who I wasn't able, just if you could please reach out to a few people and say, and if I can figure out how to not have a waiting room, I will do that in my future communications. I want to make sure that I don't do that. This is, I don't want to say it's completely new, but we have changed our settings on our Zoom classes just recently as a result of COVID-19. It sounds crazy that we should need to do that, but we had to. And so that's why I'm getting a waiting room right now, and I've never really had one before. So thank you for your patience. And if you know anybody who is not on, if you could send them a quick text message, or maybe you want to just invite somebody and say, hey, we're going to be here for another hour. We'd love to have you on. Okay. I'd love for anybody to ask questions of Karen if you possibly could. If you have any questions, I feel like she's a wealth of wisdom. Okay. I don't think Karen's going anywhere. So if you have questions in the future, as you're thinking about this, you think to yourself, I liked also, Karen, I want to point out two things that I love that you said. Number one, in the beginning of your presentation, when you said companies that are not acting in integrity right now are losing, are just, it's a kind of a zero-sum game for them right now. One thing I will say, I'll point out, I feel like doTERRA is really reaching out to us in integrity. And I feel like that the information that we're getting from the company is not only transparent, but also timely. It's not salesy. They're trying to keep us abreast of the situation. It's upbeat, right? And so I think that they're doing a good job. I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees with me. I'm open to suggestions. And if you could maybe tap in the chat, what are you thinking that the communication, Karen, I guess first you, what's your feeling about how they're communicating with us?
I'm very pleased with what they've been saying, what they've been doing. The first thing they did was say, hey, we're taking care of our employees.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're taking care of the rest of you. So that says, it's really said it all. Yeah.
Okay.
That's that
That's great.
consciousness. Yeah, there was a question by Danielle. I just want to answer. What if they're not getting back to you? How long should you pursue?
Mm.
So Danielle, how long did I keep in touch with you? How many years? There you go.
Oh my gosh, 12 years. Wow. Okay.
Okay, there's your answer,
love
kiddo.
Okay.
All right.
Love it. Okay.
And I didn't bother you, but I did let you know I cared. Is that correct?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
There's your answer. Yes.
Okay, so our next speaker, and I feel like we're right on time. Our next speaker is actually Teresa Cafara, and Teresa is going to give us some practical tips for reaching out during this time, things that are maybe going to help you reach out to people, help them to understand whether they're on your team or they are contacting you or not contacting you. Whoops. And Teresa's going to share her slides with us. And Teresa, you want to unmute yourself, of course. Oops, what am I doing here? Sorry. Teresa? Teresa? I don't, oh, okay.
Okay, I'm a country developing when it comes to technologies, so you'll just sorry if I'm like a little crazy here. Okay, so
I thought it was great. I thought your slides popped up right away. I was like, wow, this is good.
I know,
I could
right?
see
And then
slides.
then I couldn't talk.
Oh, okay. Now you're doing both. It's good.
Okay. I just want to try one more thing here.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can see those? You can see
Yep.
my slides?
Yes.
Okay. So keeping to a schedule and setting up your progress plan. And I'm going to walk a fine line today because we're going to talk about setting up a schedule and a progress plan, and then we're working from home. And as we become a healthier country, and you can go out, then you're going to change a few things as we go on. But for now, we'll just do that. So tuck away what you need for the future and know what you can use then. But then also, hopefully you'll be able to use some of these things today. And just know that where my heart is for you as far as your business and also as a good human being for us. So, all right. So doTERRA, they have, I'm going to close you guys here. Okay. So with our focus on serving others and product quality, we like to let people experience the power of essential oils, and that's what sets us apart from other companies in our industry. And everyone should consider carrying an essential oil keychain so they can have their oils whenever and wherever the need arises. So we know that doTERRA is extremely generous and an outward focused company. And our primary goal is to serve others through our products, okay? So your heart is gonna come through as you share with others. Elena talked about this a little bit, and so did Karen, as far as what can I do for you? How can I be of service? That kind of thing that doesn't come across as salesy. And I talked to someone last night and they said, you know, everybody right now is saying, how can I serve you? Not how can you purchase from me? And I do think that we need to do that. But on the other hand, we need to be aware of what people need. What can we give to each other to service our either physical or emotional needs right now. All right, and hopefully you all have a keychain that you can use at some later point in time. Okay, so sometimes people put things on slides and I wonder like, who are these people, or what do they have to do with the presentation? So I have 3 quotes by different people, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about them while I am sharing. So the first one is Winston Churchill, and he was a British statesman. He was an orator. He was the prime minister during World War II in Britain. And he held a national day of prayer, which resulted in the saving of many soldiers that were stranded on the island of Dunkirk, and ultimately led his country from the brink of victory. So the quote is, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." So what does that have to do with doTERRA, right? So doTERRA is very generous, and some of the ways that the company helps is with Healing Hands, microloans, co-impact sourcing, giving emergency kits to others. And you guys are also very generous and caring people. And so that's why we do what we do. And I'm sure that your words and your actions are going to show the heart of who you are. So Elena talked a little bit about keeping a calendar and doing a schedule. So part of this, I'm just going to kind of be an overview and zoom through a little bit faster. But even though you're at home, you need to keep a calendar, because if you're anything like me, if I don't have my calendar, I'm going to be all over the place and doing things that I probably shouldn't be doing. Okay, and then Elena talked about her calendar. Her calendar looks kind of like the one in the middle there, the Michael Hyatt calendar. And there's others that you can get a day timer or a printable online or you know, whatever works for you. And then don't forget your doTERRA essential oils and supplements routine. And Elena talked about that a lot. So I don't know that, Elena, do you want me to talk about that or not?
I'm looking at your slide. I'm seeing the calendar slide. So
Right.
I think we talked about daily routines. I think.
I can skip over that then, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
You have.
Because I don't want to waste.
I know you have a lot of great content.
I don't want to waste our time here. So, so this guy is Albert Schweitzer. He was kind of a Renaissance man, like Leonardo da Vinci, and so he had a lot of expertises. He was a theologian and an organist, a writer, a humanitarian, and he received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1952, and founded a hospital in Africa. So he says, I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know is the ones among you who will be really happy are those that you have sought and found out how to serve. So if you've ever served in like a soup kitchen or gone on a mission trip or anything like that, I think you'll agree that you come away being more blessed than the blessing that you gave to others, although I'm sure that you blessed others in the midst of it. And so that's kind of what we do with doTERRA. And right now there's so many people out there that are stressed or in panic. And so whether it's now or whether it's later, there'll be things that cause stress, right? So when we get out of this situation, maybe we'll be stressed because maybe I lost my job that time, or I'm making up the money that I was paying bills and that kind of stuff. So we need to be kind to each other and try to be encouraging and give each other a little bit of space if we need it. Give them a hug. Right now it's a virtual hug, but hopefully it'll be nice to give each other like real hugs pretty soon, and grace to go forward, because we're really here to help each other. Okay, so just like Karen talked about, we need to know who we need to support, who can we serve, and who can we ask if they need help. That's key. And the quote up at the top says, each of you should use whatever gift you received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various purpose forms. So that's from 1 Peter. And I see doTERRA as being a gift. You know, it's a gift of the earth. It was a gift that God gave us that he knew that we were going to need to give to others or to share with others or for our own health. So using what we have to help others. And then Karen talked a little bit more about checking with others and making sure that they are okay. And then also remind them, you know, that if they're not on LRP, they might want to be, because just like when a flight attendant says, if your oxygen mask falls from the ceiling, put yours on first before helping others. You want to make sure that you are having that oxygen mask available to you. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about Elise Sedivy and her guidelines in sharing with others. If you haven't seen, whoops, let me go back here. Seen her presentation, Daily Mentor Calls. If you've got a little bit of time now, while you're at home, you might want to watch those. So kind of be in preparation for what you're doing when we're out of quarantine and touching base with people. So I'm not telling you to go out and prey on people right now as far as, you know, you got to buy this or whatever, but just be prepared because people are going to need what we have later on. Okay. And then this is the sampling flow chart. I'm going to kind of go over this, you know, in my following slides, but if you, Elena, do you have a copy of this to send out to everybody?
I'm going to have to send it out to everyone afterwards.
Right. But
Yeah,
you
I
have,
have a copy of it that I'll add it to the email at the end.
great. Thank you. All right. So we're going to give free samples. doTERRA is extremely generous and they encourage us to be generous too. And if you're on your LRP and you're ordering 125 points before the 15th of the month, you have that free oil that you can share with others. And sometimes they're fun oils and sometimes they're oils that are extremely useful, like our On Guard or our peppermint. And so that's nice to have. And you're going to choose when you're listening to people, like Karen was talking about listening. So you're listening to what they're saying, listen to how they're feeling, listen to what they are going to need. And before you end the conversation, you're going to have a clear direction in how you can help them with and specific samples. So choose health needs with a symptom or something that they're going to see a result in, because that's going to make them feel more comfortable in getting oils. So you're going to sample one at a time. So whether it's your top 10 or a specific health challenge, you're going to do one at a time until you find something that works. So let's say that people today have anxiety. So you might start with balance or cheer, going over to the adaptive, the lavender, but you're going to do one at a time until you find something that really works for them. And when you are giving a sample, you can give a sample. 10 to 20 drops of essential oil is probably enough for a few applications or a couple of days. You can stick those in the mail. It's, hopefully our post offices will still be running no matter what. And don't forget to put a sticker on it. I cannot tell you how many times I have put in a bunch of oils together for my own blend and not put a sticker on it because I'm like, I'm going to remember what this is with this, right? And then I've got 3 or 4 bottles and it's like, I'm not sure what's what. So put a sticker on it and make sure that you tell them how to use their oils, right? Okay, when I look at my limited oil samples and wonder who I should hand them out to, it makes me feel like a bachelorette during the rose ceremony. Now, I don't watch this show, but whether you watch it or not, I think you understand that the roses don't go to everybody. So you want to be, you don't want to be doing this, you know, willy-nilly. You want to target the people that with intentional purpose of who is going to need the particular oils that you've got. Okay, and doTERRA has made sampling simple. So they've provided several products in sample forms. You're not going to give them all at once. So if they need a deep blue sample, it's there. If they need a shampoo and conditioner sample, it's there. If they need a toothpaste sample, it's there. Or you can, when people do become part of your team, you can send them a little baggie, kind of like the one listed there, with all of the samples and give them, you know, a taste of something that maybe they haven't been using or that they can order in the future. So any questions on sampling right now? Okay, so sharing is caring. but then what? All right. So we want to follow up, and Karen talked a little bit about this, and depending upon your personality, I know Jen mentioned, you know, not really wanting to go too far or whatever. But follow up is really where the rubber meets the road, and you need to follow up on the samples that you shared with. It takes between 5 to 7 conversations before someone says yes. So don't stop until you feel like things are really not going forward. But as Danielle said, Karen's followed up with her for 12 years. So, you know, just kind of be in tune to that. So I'm going to tell you the differences between success of following up or not. Okay. So 48% of people never follow up. So it's kind of a one and done kind of thing. And that's sad. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. 12% make 3 contacts and stop. And only 10% make more than 3 contacts. So let's see how those contacts make results, okay? So 2% of sales are made on the first contact, and 3% on the second contact, 5% on the third contact, and 10% on the fourth. But 80%, yes, ladies, 80% of sales are made on the 5th through 12th contact. So that makes a huge difference in your success. Okay, so here's some tips on following up. Try to talk to someone in person. If they don't answer the phone, leave a message and follow up with a text. And I really think that texts are great because people look at those. I'm guilty of not always listening to my messages, so I tell people, if you want to get through to me, you know, make sure that you send me a text. Okay, you're going to build rapport through text, social media, and ask for referrals. Cutco people ask for referrals all the time, and that's how they build their clientele. And if your samples work, and they will, then others are going to be happy to give you referrals. Provide new and valuable information. Tell them about the products, the company. Healing hands, people love that. Tell them about your team members or events coming up, and the conversation that you're having is not going to be the same every time. If they have questions or concerns, answer them. But if you don't know, that's okay. Tell them that you're going to find out and get back to them. And that also helps them to know that they don't have to be an expert to be a part of doTERRA. And then when you're following up, don't follow up too often. Leave a space between contacts, a day or two, maybe a couple of days, but not too long. But sometimes we drop the ball, right? So if you drop the ball, be humble and tell them, hey, I know it's been a while. I was thinking about you, kind of like what Karen said, and I wanted to touch base and see how you were. Is there anything that I can do for you? And it's okay to be persistent, but not forever. So you're going to listen. We're going to go back to that very good tip here. Somebody's going to let you know when you need to back off. All right. And so when you know that you're going to back off, that's okay. Sometimes you're going to totally walk away, and sometimes you just need to give a healthy amount of space before coming back. And if you know, hopefully you can read the person and you'll know what one of those you're going to do. And if you can't and they want you to stop, I promise you, they're going to say, you know what, go away. I don't want to talk to you anymore. All right. And then you're going to continue to follow up even after you have made a significant contact with them. Okay. Because people need to know that you care. They need to be educated. And doTERRA wants us to be educated, competent, and comfortable in sharing with others. And the company and the team has provided many opportunities to learn about doTERRA and its products. And our team leaders have provided incredible training. If you've not been on Oil Camp, you want to jump on there or get your team members on there. Essential Conversation is a great Facebook group that we have for our team. Elena's on every Monday morning on Zoom for a product call and a leadership call, so you can do that. And I know that I think everybody's been on Nick Kilpuck's call. I've heard many of your names called for winning, and that's always exciting. And then doTERRA's online training, and they've recently rolled out a certificate certification class for essential oils. And if you haven't heard about that yet, I'm sure that you will be hearing about it. And it's a great time to be able to hop on that as we're, you know, learning and doing things here at home. And then lastly, I'm sure that you all know Michael J. Fox. He grew up with a lot of us on TV, like the sitcom Family Ties or Back to the Future and a lot of other things. So to many of us, he would probably feel like family. And the quote from him is, "Family is not an important thing, it's everything." So when I look out on all the faces on this Zoom and think about others on our team, I think of you guys as family. And so as your family member, I'm here to help you or do whatever I can. And I know that the leaders are too. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Teresa. That was terrific. I'd love for you all to be able to see Teresa and maybe ask her some questions.
I lost you, so I don't know. I mean, okay. I'm here, I just can't see you.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think you're gonna have to stop the share of your screen to be able to see us.
Okay, sorry.
That's right.
There you go.
Here we go.
Again, developing country.
There we go. Okay. And we've got the chat up also, so if you want to make any comments in the chat. Okay. Okay, so obviously our ability to send out, our ability to contact people is sort of a changing game right now. I had 3 people contact me yesterday asking for either samples or products that I had in stock, willing to pay me for them because some of them are not in stock right now. They can't get them from doTERRA. I think we're all in. Jennifer says, can you put on the chat the info about those resources? People can find them. Teresa, can you type them into the chat?
Well, maybe.
Jennifer, you wanted specifically the spreadsheet of how for follow-up?
No, I think I was thinking specifically about Nick's phone number, and then also that last one, the doTERRA certificate.
Okay.
I may be aware of it, but I wouldn't know where to go to get it myself. So I'm imagining there might be other people as well who wouldn't know where to find that.
You know what? Julia can send those out. Julia's on the line now with us.
Perfect. Excellent.
Yeah. And she knows, between the two of us, we know where all that stuff is, and that can all go out later today. Or can go into the notes at the bottom of once it's posted on YouTube, this call can go out with notes at the bottom, some resources for everyone. Teresa, thank you so much. I know you did a lot of hard work to put together that presentation. Teresa and I worked together, and we were kind of rolling with the punches as we were getting more information and putting things in and taking things out. And Teresa was a really good sport. And sometimes that type of very practical information can be exactly what you need when you're trying to, manage expectations and also maybe reach out to people. You want to reach out to them with integrity, but you also want to know how to do this and what are the kind of the practical tips. I hope everybody found both presentations extremely useful and at least for me, I felt like they gave me a lot of guidance. I was really glad that you two ladies presented and helped us today. So we've got about a half an hour left, and we have 2 more activities and please tap in the chat if you don't want to speak out loud, but I'd love to hear your comments. Okay, so the last 2 things, and we don't need a slide, I don't think, for this. Now that you've had a chance to talk to Teresa, hear Teresa speaking and hear Karen speaking, I want you to do a 5-minute reflection on what right now is your biggest challenge. And I don't want you to say COVID-19, right? The challenge is either in your head or your heart or, you know, your practice or your discipline, right? Really, let's give it some thought. What is your biggest challenge in the next, let's say next month? Or maybe the next 2 weeks. And so I want you to specify the amount of time, specify your biggest challenge, and then I want you to tell me what's your biggest opportunity. Because there's always a challenge and there's always an opportunity. We can look at this from either side. And then I'm gonna wanna hear from every one of you, either in the chat, biggest challenge, biggest opportunity. So I'm gonna give you, I'm actually gonna give you 7 minutes to do this because we're a smaller group and I know you need a little bit of thinking time. And I'm gonna put on some music. I hope I get a good one this time. I don't drive you crazy, I'll keep it low. Let's see if we see this. Okay, everybody. There we go. You have 7 minutes.
Opportunity is me time.
Okay, some of you started to type your challenges, and I have to say thank you for being so vulnerable and for also being so willing to share in this forum. I think it's been, I'm very proud of everyone who's been here, and just the way that we're interacting with each other has been amazing. So I'm going to start with some of the challenges. Hold on one second. Challenges and opportunities. So Heather says, challenges, reworking some of my goals and changing course. I think we're all right there with you, Heather. Biggest opportunity is reaching out to others since we know they are all home and may have more time. Absolutely. Danielle says, biggest challenge is getting organized. I get distracted, hard to focus, get tasks done. My opportunity now is more time to organize myself and think of how I can serve people with what I know. I can finally get some things done. I'm able to call more people to check in. Yes, that's great. Terrific. Carol says, challenge is narrowing down her contacts to schedule classes and not feeling defeated. And then opportunity is leading and training my sharers and builders. Yes, okay, terrific. I said not to stress out my challenge is not to stress out my family, my friends, or my contacts, because I want to stay on task. So I don't want to seem like a taskmaster, and I want to just allow things to progress as they should. And my biggest opportunity is being in a place where others are looking for guidance, because that is one of my strengths. And if you've taken the Strengths Finder assessment, maybe you want to go back to your strengths, because that's also, I think, where you're going to find your opportunities, so that you really know what it is that you're all about. Marianne says, I think my biggest challenge is overcoming the fear of myself and reaching out to people on my team and getting them on LRP. Another challenge is following up with them. Karen's presentation has given me a sense of confidence in how to approach people and situations and to do it with integrity, the 4 A's. And any of you who got on late, missed Karen's presentation, it's a knockout. I love that presentation. And I'm going to try to tackle this in the next 2 weeks. My opportunity is that now I have the time to concentrate on organization. I'm using my kids, love it. Making phone calls, potentially doing class, and being more present in my one-on-ones. Teresa says, biggest challenge, how to reach out to people that have been leads and not sounding opportunistic. That Karen helped with that. Staying on target and getting some things done that have been on my to-do list. And then opportunity, helping others not to panic. Yes, we can be a voice of reason in a time where everyone is losing their heads. And if you've ever read Desiderata, which is a poem written, and nobody really knows when it was written. It's been attributed to so many people, including anonymous, but it's worth taking a look at. Staying calm to help others, be calm, sharing what I have to offer. She says she loves Zoom because it's easy. It makes it possible to see other people's faces. Yes. Carol says, thank you for the encouragement. Jennifer says, challenge is accepting her own limitations. Interesting. And an opportunity with family home, I can ask for help. Okay, that's great. That's really good. And I have to say, I know Jennifer a long time. She's a really smart lady. I know you're all really smart, but Jennifer is one of those people that kind of knocks it out of the park. I don't see her as having limitations, so I'm just going to throw that out there. And all of you, when I look at this call, I really don't see you as people. And look, you got here today. You've stayed on with us all this time, which has been amazing. I mean, I was literally thinking people would jump on for 10 minutes and then be like, oh, please, I can't even listen to anymore, and then just go home or go do their own work. So thank you so much for having been with us all this time. And would love to do this in 2 weeks, but it's probably a lifetime goal. Okay. And that's possible. And we may see things, look, in the next 2 weeks, we don't know what's going to happen. We're going to just keep kind of plowing through. Now, I heard from a lot of you. There are a couple more that I didn't hear from. I'd love to hear from you, Carol Roller, if you want to type it in the chat or you want to speak out loud. Judy, I didn't hear from you. Danielle, I think I heard from you. I'm not sure. Yes, you did. Thank you. And maybe Julia, you want to give us a biggest challenge, biggest opportunity. And for those of you who don't know, Julia works with me and has been working with me for several years now. She's sort of the backbone of this organization, really keeps us on task and running smoothly. And she's in her house and I'm in my house, and we've kind of been working remotely, but it's gone really well. And you can just type in the chat and we can read it up later. Last thing before we go is I'd like you to do 2 minutes for yourself, maybe, of what are, and I try to do this, sorry, I didn't mean to cross that binder in front of you. I have a few notes here that I wanted to make sure. Oops. You're almost making now your, let's call it your action plan, right? So this is going to be not fully fleshed out. I'm not expecting for, you know, everything to be in actual size, place, order. But I think at the very end, you want to gain a little bit of, let's call it clarity and momentum. So you looked at your challenges, you looked at your opportunities, right? And so let's reflect on what you learned today and maybe tell me one action, that you plan to take today. Because you still, wherever it's 1 o'clock here. And so one action that you plan to take today. And that's going to give you at least that feeling of, this is my next step. And if you have 2 actions or 2 steps you want to take, I'll take it. Oh, Judy, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I didn't know. So Judy's sharing with us that her husband passed away, and I did not know that, and I am so very sorry. Thank you so much for being with us today, and I wish we could have been a little bit more supportive of you. And I know that, you know, in a time where we're all kind of staying separated, to be not only mentally and emotionally separated, but that feeling of being spiritually separated, not just from other people, but maybe for someone that you love very much, can be very, very hard. And I know for some of you, you are dealing with physical separation because of family being in other places, and have friends and family that, of course, I'm starting to cry at the end. Got to wrap it up with the tears, right? Friends or family that are in the military, friends or family that can't be with us for whatever reason, stressed maybe about taking care of elderly or younger children. And I just want to say that I am, you know, I'm with you in spirit. I can't be there to be with you, but please know, at least for Judy, you know, my sincerest condolences to you. And thank you for the honor and that maybe the privilege of just being able to spend this time with you and with all of you today. So thank you. Thank you. Okay. So one step you want to take this week, and maybe that step is just, you know, to collect your thoughts. It may be to get off this call and say, you know what, I connected with other human beings, and that was a good thing. And if you've been very isolated, being with us on this call has maybe been a bright point. I hope it's been a bright point of your week. I'm going to continue to get on every week on Mondays and try to provide some sort of guidance and direction for the team and for us as individuals, as men and women going through a very unusual time, something we've never experienced before. I do feel, though, down in my heart that we come from a long line, all of us, of pioneers and people that had strength and courage. And this nation was founded on the spirit of we're going to get it done and we're going to get through it. And while we have never experienced anything of this sort, I think if you're over the age of 40, you've seen trials and tribulations in your life, and you got through them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. And whether it was a sadness because of a death or a divorce or a disappointment or an anxiety or frustration, you can absolutely build on the strength that you built at that time and say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to help somebody else, and I'm going to help somebody else to get through this. And for our younger listeners, I just want to encourage you to know that you have a set of ready-made listeners and people that are willing to help and to reach out. And I think that if we keep each one of those things in mind, that we're here to serve others, both younger and our peers, and to help them to get to that next level. And if you are just here in a capacity of thinking, you know what, I just want to be with other people and I want to see them and I want to see there, because we don't know who's going to listen to this afterwards, right? We may have all different sorts of people, moms with babies, or dads, or younger people, or older people. I just want to know that if you are listening and you're hearing the sound of my voice and you've gotten all the way through this presentation and you're thinking, gee, I'm glad that they were together, then you know what? We've served our purpose. So I'm looking at a few more of the comments. Everyone sending prayers to Judy, of course. Give yourself grace and take it one step at a time. Deepest condolences. I'm so sorry to hear of Mike's passing. Danielle says that her action is to take action with her list and take opportunity to check in and make calls. Tell them that I'm here to help, and also check in with them and help them when I can. Judy says thank you. To contact someone who reached out who's interested in oils. Zoom friends that she doesn't get to see in person. That's great, Teresa. Julia says, challenge, keeping myself accountable, opportunity, no commute, and all my friends are home and online, so we have the ability to create a co-working space to keep each other accountable. That's great. That's really good. Teresa says, take some courses online. Betsy says she's going to be reading MetaHuman for guidance in these trying times. Okay. And Danielle says, thank you for this. I feel blessed to have connected with all of you. Thank you. And Carol says, my limitations are memory, perhaps age, and not able to be close. I love my uplines and downlines, but doTERRA's heart is what I'm most grateful for. My strengths are just the empathy I have for people, animals, and trying my best to help them. That says it all. Thank you, Carol. So thank you so much. Okay, so I'm gonna leave you all with a final thought. And that is that you have a power within you, and you absolutely can use that force for good. And whether it means being silent in prayer for the benefit of someone else or reaching out, you are able to do this. Now, on a very practical note, I'm going to leave you one more practical tip. I do want you, if you are a person who is using a specific product to manage any sort of health issue that you have on a regular basis, to reach out to some of us that are here to make sure, and also get onto the doTERRA website to make sure that the things that you need for your own care and the care of your family are available. We are having some stock outs of certain items, as you know, so you want to take your take precautions. If there's a product that you use on a regular basis, just try to keep track. I've been trying to text and keep everyone aware of what's going on. If we're seeing any sort of shortages, there are some limitations on products right now. If it is a product that you use all the time, I strongly suggest that you drop it into your LRP so that it seems to me that doTERRA is honoring current LRPs. And so what does that mean? If you have an LRP and the product is sitting in your cart, they will deliver that product to you. They will not allow you to put the product in a cart that already exists. So the product has to be sitting in the cart, right? But if they have, so I'm going to use turmeric capsules as an example. There was a stock out on turmeric capsules, and you could not place a one-time order. You couldn't add it to an LRP. If you had it, though, in your cart, they would honor those orders. So if it is something that you need on a regular basis and it's available now, I strongly recommend that you drop it in your cart and just leave it there. When all of this is done, you can always take it out. If you have a couple of extras, you can trade with a friend. You can give them away as samples. I don't think you're going to wind up with 500 of them. Even if you were to keep it in your cart for 3 or 4 months, you would wind up with maybe an extra 2 or 3. So I don't know when the On Guard concentrated cleaner is going to come back. As I said to many people who I texted previously, I do have some things. So if you need something, you can contact me and maybe we can work something out. But I do want to mention to you, if you love it and you need it, throw it in your cart. And in fact, I recently threw turmeric capsules back in my cart because I was completely out and was really happy when they came back online, even temporarily. So we'll see. I don't want to be at 0 because that's not a great place, at least for me, to be in. You want to have whatever it is that you need. So if you're a person who uses Breathe or On Guard, or maybe Deep Blue or something else that you want to make sure that you have in your house, take a look around and encourage your team members to do the same. This is not a time to go on a buying spree, but if it is a product that you like and you use and you really want to have, drop it in there. We did perfectly. I mean, absolutely perfectly. I don't think I could have asked for better. In the end, I just wanted to ask, does anybody have any questions or comments or anything that they'd like to say? You can say it in the chat. You can unmute yourself and let me know. I'd love to hear at the very end if there's anything that anybody wants to say. Actually, you know what? I'm going to leave you with this. Give me your top takeaway. That's how we're going to end. So top takeaway for today, and it can be 2 if you want to say 2. Type it in the chat, say it out loud, whatever you want. Top takeaway from today, because that's the thing really that you're most likely to act on. And then we'll wrap it on up and bring it on home. Oh, Marianne, that's beautiful. Integrity, love it. Okay. Danielle says, love the 4 A's. Judy says, routines. Carol says, the rituals. Yep. Need to be intentional about ending my day and having an evening routine. I think will help my brain to shut down. That's from Heather. Jen says, it's not opportunistic to talk to people about oils, about this during this difficult time. It's a service. Yes. Yeah. We have something that can really help people. And we just want to be mindful of how we express ourselves. Karen says, rituals. Anyone else? Top takeaways.
Elena?
Yes.
Hi,
Betsy?
this is Betsy Lind in New York City.
Yes.
I know I'm the only one without a picture. That's because I'm in a very skimpy nightie. But in any case, I just wanted to thank you all so much. You're a wonderful team. Teresa, thank you for inviting me on this. I've been listening on and off for the last 3 hours, couldn't turn it off. All your advice is what I've been doing and following, but I always learn a lot of new things. And I tell you, spirituality and the love, is the thing, and I feel really strongly about you guys. I'm sorry I haven't seen you all in so long. Hopefully we can get together soon. And I do appreciate, you guys kind of just being in touch and letting me know what's going on, because I have a tendency to fall through the wayside here. But I'm well, we're all well, we're keeping well, and that's the important thing, and I hope everyone is as well. So much love and support, and thank you for yours too. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll have a meeting together soon.
I would love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Betsy. So I think Betsy said what I would have said very eloquently. I want to thank you all for having been here today. And as I always say at the end of all my presentations, you all are amazing. And no matter what I say or do, you have a strength and you have a beauty within you that really surpasses all bounds. And I want you to really connect with each other as much as you can. Go enjoy your families, enjoy your kids, get outdoors. This is an opportunity for all of us folks. And I think when we get to the other side, we're going to say, oh my gosh, remember that Zoom class we had online? And that's the best that I can ask for. Okay, so have a wonderful day. Have a beautiful week. Hopefully I'll see you all back here. Not same number, but back on Zoom on Monday. We're going to be talking about spring cleaning when you're stuck at home. And I'm going to be offering alternative tips because I think some of us are maybe running out of products that we had hoped to have, or we want to have some alternatives, and also kind of cleaning our homes, things like that. I think it's going to be upbeat but informative. So have a wonderful week, and thank you so much for having been here. And I send you all off with a kiss. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye now.